installing and configuring Hyper-V and virtual machines. Now, what is Hyper-V first? Hyper-V is a virtualization platform. It is a hardware virtualization role in Windows Server 2016. And what it do, it provides the hypervisor. Hypervisor for installing and configuring, creating virtual machine inside our physical machine. So in the physical machine, we can create the virtualized environment where we can install the virtual, we can create the virtual machines, and we can install the operating system also. So it is called the hypervisor, and hypervisor control the access to hardware, and hardware drivers are installed in the host operating system. Now host means the machine where we create the virtual machines, the virtualized environment, and the virtual machine itself called as a guest. So the host is a physical machine and the guest is a virtual machine which is created under that physical machine. So hardware drivers are installed in the host operating system, that means in the physical machine, and it is going to used as a virtualized into the virtual machine. So many guest operating systems are supported now. Now this is the advanced thing, like this is the advanced thing from the previous versions of Windows Server, like Windows Server 2012 or 8. So in this 2016 server, it supports many operating systems, like it can support, we can install and create Windows Server 2008, Service Pack 2 or newer, any version, Windows Vista Service Pack 2 or newer, Linux also there, we can install the Linux operating system. We can install FreeBSD also, FreeBSD Unix. So now in Hyper-V we have these supports also. So these are the new features we have in Hyper-V host, features with the Windows Server 2016. Now Hyper-V host, that means the host which is hosting the virtual machines. So for the host, we have these new features available in 2016 server. First is a host resource protection, that means it is going to protect the resources of the host. That means the RAM, hard disk, processor, all those resources which is in the host, so it is going to be protected by the attacks from the virtual machine. That means if the virtual machine from the some attacker try to access the resources of the host from the virtual machine, it is going to be protected. It is going to be more secure now. Hyper-V Manager is improvements. It is having an improvement on Hyper-V Manager, which is a management tool for the Hyper-V. Then it is also supported nested virtualization. Now nested virtualization, that means we can create a virtual machine inside virtual machine. It was not supported in previous versions, but now we have this also, that we can create a virtual machine inside a virtual machine. Then rolling Hyper-V cluster upgrades also, that means if we have configured the cluster for the Hyper-V, so it can do the rolling upgrades. Rolling upgrades, that means the machine, we don't have to shut down the system to update the system, so we can do upgrade without shutting down the system or service. Then shielded virtual machines are there, that means our virtual machines are now more secure. It is having a shielded technology to secure the virtual machines environment. Then we have start order priority, that means we have option, like if suppose we have multiple virtual machines in the host, and if we want to start, suppose the host shut down or restarts or reboots, so which virtual machine should start first and then which virtual machine should start next. So we can decide the order of the priority, start order priority. That means we can give the machine priority to start. For example, if I have created the virtual machine and I have installed the DHCP services in that virtual machine. Now other virtual machines, when the other virtual machine will start, they need an IP addresses, and they need the IP address, and they will get it from the DHCP server. Now the priority must be enabled, the priority must be DHCP server's priority must be higher, so that first DHCP server will start and then other machines will start. So first DHCP server will be available, then the other machine will get the IP from the DHCP service. This is just an example, but there are many cases where we need to set the order priority. So now this feature is also available. It was not there Then we have option to have a storage quality of service. So for quality of service we have storage options. That means quality of service, that means the requirement for the services for the storage is based on the priority. Based on the priority it can provide the storage access also. Then we have Windows PowerShell Direct also. Windows PowerShell Direct, that means without a networking also we can connect the virtual machine from the host. That means from the host we can connect the virtual machine inside the host, which is created inside the host. We can connect them directly through the PowerShell without any networking. That does not require the networking. Previously what was there, if we want to connect the virtual machine even from the real host, even from the host, we have to connect through the network, and then we can access the PowerShell, we can access the virtual machine. Now we have PowerShell Direct, that we don't require the network for that. We can directly connect our host virtual machines, our guest virtual machine from the host, only from the host, by using the PowerShell Direct. So it is already there. So we don't have to configure anything, we can just connect it. Then new Hyper-V virtual machine features in Windows Server 2016. That means these are the new feature of virtual machines. Previously it was the option for the host, now this is for the guest. So what are the new features we have for the guest? First, discrete device assignment. Device assignment, that means the devices from the host, it can be discrete assigned. Then hot add or remove for network adapters and memory. Now it was not supported previously. That means if your machine is running, then we cannot add a new adapter, or we cannot remove the new adapter, network adapter. We have to shut down the system. And even for the memory also, now we can do that now, but we can increase the memory. For decreasing it, we have to still shut down the system, we have to still shut down the virtual machine. But this is now available in Windows Server 2016, that we can do hot add and remove the network adapter and memory. Then integration services delivered through Windows Update. So Windows Update can also deliver the integration services also. That means to the virtual machine it can get from the Windows Update. So when we do the Windows Update, we can get the integration services delivered also. Then Linux Secure Boot. Now previously also we can create the Linux virtual machines, but it was not under the shielded virtual machine. So this is the new feature of Windows Server, that is shielding virtual machine, securing the virtual machine boot. That means if a machine is booting, so on the booting time, no malware or Trojan or virus can infect the system. Now previously it was only shielding the boot, shielding the boot of Windows machines, but now it can also secure the boot of Linux machine. So it can also now secure the boot of Linux machine. That means if Linux machine boots, so it can also boot with the secure environment. That means it cannot be affected by the viruses or Trojans. So it can protect and secure the Linux boot also. Then production checkpoints are also available now. Checkpoints are like a snapshot of the virtual machines in a particular time. Like when we create the virtual machine, we have a fresh virtual machine, so we create a snapshot there. It is called checkpoint here. Or we configure something, or we install some features or applications, and just we want to have them as it is, then we check this checkpoint or snapshot. So whenever the software goes corrupt or something goes wrong, then we can go back to that snapshot or checkpoint. Now we have the production checkpoints also available, so we can take it the production checkpoints. Then virtual machine configuration file formats are there, like we can configure the virtual machine directly from the configuration file. So this option is also available. Then virtual machine configuration versions are also there. We can change the configuration version also for the virtual machines. Then we have the new feature available in this Server 2016. It is called containers. Windows servers, containers and Dockers and that is also we can create on Hyper-V. Now these containers and Dockers we can install directly on the real server, real machine, a physical machine, and also we can do this, we can install this on virtual Hyper-V also. Now this is for the isolation, this is for the virtual machine, this is actually for the isolation of application. Basically these containers and Dockers are same like a virtual machine, but they are different, they are more lighter than these virtual machines, more lighter than the the real machine or even a virtual machine, even a nano server also. Virtual machine provides hardware virtualization, simple. So virtual machines do what? When we create a virtual machine, that means it provides the hardware virtualization. That means in our real host, we have separate different hardwares like RAM, processor, hard disk, and any other hardware. So when we create the virtual machine, so it do what? It provides the virtualized hardware. That means in the virtual machine we see the virtual hardware like virtual CPU, virtual RAM, virtual hard disk, virtual processor, and all other virtual devices. So virtual machines do what? It provides a hardware virtualization. Now what is the containers? Containers provide the operating system virtualization. That means directly the operating system is virtualized. It is not hardware dependent. It works like a container where you can put the different applications. Now in this isolated namespace we have controlled access to hardware also. So it can still access the hardware, but it access with the control. Now benefits of the containers. What are the benefits of the container? Faster startup and restarts. Now because it is not depending on any virtual hardware or any any virtual hardware, it is not using a hardware layer instead. So it do what? It is very lighter. It is very light. That means it is lighter than the core operating system. It is lighter than the nano server also, because it is just an operating system for a specific application. So these containers can start up and restart very quickly, and high deployment density. We can deploy it very much, like we can deploy it in very density. That means we can deploy it in large amount of numbers. Then Docker is the management software for containers. Now what is Docker? Docker basically is a management software for the containers. Now if you may have heard about the Dockers, if you know the term about this Docker, dock and container. Dockers are like those ship side areas, the ship side where the ships carry the goods in containers and put those containers into the dock area. So dock area is what? Is the area where the containers are managed and kept. So same as this here, the name is taken from the same term. So the Docker in this software, it is a management software. It is a management software for managing the containers. And containers is a virtualized operating systems. Very simple. Containers are the virtualized operating system for a specific application. For example, I want to have a web server. So I can get the container, that means a virtualized operating system for a specific web server. You want Apache, so you will get the Linux container. You want Windows IIS server, then you get the Windows container. Or suppose you want to install some specific application like .NET or any other application you need, framework you need, so and any other operating system you need, so you can get the container basically on that defined software or technology you want. So containers are the small containers of small virtualized operating systems where we can install the application and a specific application, and we can use that container for the specific application. And for managing the containers, we need Dockers. So Docker is a software which is used to manage the containers. Now Hyper-V containers provide greater isolation. Now remember, if you install the containers in the real machine, so that means what it will do, all the containers will use the real hardware, same hardware. That means all the machines will use the same hardware. If suppose our base operating system is Windows, so all the containers it will use the base hardware as a Windows. If they have to communicate with the Windows to get the hardware. Now if we create the containers under the virtual machine, that means under the Hyper-V, if we create the virtual machine, then it will provide the greater isolation. That means the one container is not related to other container. That means if suppose the containers are installed in the physical system like this, so if it is installed in the container in the physical system, then they will have to access the same hardware. That means if this, like here we have seen this containers directly, and this is what the Hyper-V container. So what is the difference here? Containers directly can be installed directly on the Windows Server 2016, and then they can access the hardware through the Windows Server 2016. Now when you install directly the container on the server, so what it will do, they will share the same hardware, and they will share the same hardware. Now they are isolated through the operating system. That means container itself is an operating system. So this container is a different operating system, this container is a different operating system, this container is a different operating system. So on the level of operating system they are separated, but on the hardware level they are using the same hardware. So this container is using the same processor, same RAM and same hard disk, and this one is also using the same, and this one is also using the same. So they are still isolated, but somehow they are still joined. So attackers can use this to get the access from one container to other container. If suppose the application installed on one container, and attacker is able to get the access and control on this application, so it will try to access the other containers also. Now because they are using or working on the same operating system or hardware, so attacker can use some of these tools or tricks to do this. Now on the other hand, when we have a Hyper-V container, now Hyper-V container means what? We actually use the virtual machine, that means on the hypervisor, like in the hardware the hypervisor will be there. That means we install the Hyper-V, and on the Hyper-V we create a virtual machine like Windows Server 2016, and in that virtual machine we create container. So one virtual machine for one container, other virtual machine for other container. Now this will do what? It will separate the container. It will give you a complete separation, isolation. That means this container is using the separate operating system, and this container is using the separate operating system. So if even any attacker get the access of one container, application of the one container, it can still not get the access of the other container because it is completely isolated. So when we create directly container, we can do that. We can create the direct container on the host, or we can create the container on the guest operating system, that means virtual machine. So virtual machine is having a benefit, like it is giving us it will give us a great amount of isolation. Now for installing the Hyper-V. Now Hyper-V is installed in our Windows Server 2016 as a role. So first we have to install this. Now before installing, we have to check the prerequisites and requirements for installing the Hyper-V. So first we can go for in the command prompt we can type this system info command to verify that the hardware requirements are met for the Hyper-V or not. So in the hardware in the command prompt we type system info, so it will show that Hyper-V requirements are there or not. That means VM monitor mode extension is there, or virtualization is enabled in firmware or not, second level address translation is there, and data execution prevention available or not. So these options are there or not. So if we want to see the prerequisites, so we have to go to the command prompt and we have to type system info. Then you have to you must have sufficient resources in the host to meet the requirements of the virtual machine. Like you have to have a sufficient amount of a good processor, You have to have a sufficient amount of RAM, memory. Like if suppose we are having a server 2016, so minimum RAM is required for the graphical version is 1 to 2 GB. So for itself, for server 2016 itself, it needs minimum at least 1 to 2 GB RAM. Now if we want to create any other virtual machine inside this, then we need more than 2 GB RAM. For one virtual machine we need at least 4 GB RAM, and if you want to create more than 2 machines, so we need more than 4 GB RAM. So this is at least 4 GB RAM if you want to create a one virtual machine fully graphical on our Windows Server 2016. Then storage requirement depends on the storage, for one virtual machine it depends how much storage we want to give, and that depend on what the application we want to install at that virtual machine. So because of the operating system we create on the virtual machine, and also the application and data we want to store in that virtual machine, so storage requirement will depend on that. Then network must be there, so that we can connect the virtual machine from the to the other servers or other resources. Okay, now if we want to see the first, go to this command prompt and type the sysinfo to check whether your machine support the Hyper-V or not. And then we can install the Hyper-V role as a Hyper-V as a role from the server manager. So we go to roles and feature installation, and then we can select this Hyper-V from the roles, and then it will install the role into our system, and it will boot 2 times, and then it is going to will install the Hyper-V role in our system. So this is our server 2016. First I want to see whether my machine supports the virtualization or not. So what I will do, I will go to the command prompt or a Hyper-V or a PowerShell, I can say, and I will run command sysinfo. Now it is generating the information. Now here we can see that Hyper-V requirements. Now what it is saying, the hypervisor has been detected. The features required for Hyper-V features required for Hyper-V will not be displayed. So hypervisor is detected, so it is there, hypervisor is there, but the features are not showing here. Now that means it is actually disabled from the firmware. It is disabled from the hardware. It is disabled from a BIOS. And also we can verify from here, like we can also go to the task manager. Under the task manager, go for the more details, and under the more details we'll go to the performance, and when you select the CPU, so here we can see the virtual machine. It says the virtual machine is yes. That means we can create virtual machine in our system. We can create the virtual machine in our system. It is saying yes, that means we can do that. Now what I will do, I will try to install the role. Now remember, if my machine is supporting that, then I can install the role, and if it is not supporting, then I cannot install the role. So I will go to manage, add roles, and here is the Hyper-V role. Now when I select this, it says you have to need this a feature, so I'll say okay, add it, and it gives me error here. So it gives me error because right now I am not able to install create the virtual machine. That is why it gives me error and it is not selecting. Now that is because it is disabled from the firmware. So I have to enable it from the firmware, I have to enable it from my BIOS, so that I can create here. So now I have enabled it from the BIOS, and now I will go again, and then I will again start add and roles, and I will go next, 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 and this time I will select again the Hyper-V, add the additional features, and now it is not giving any error, it is selecting the Hyper-V, and now we can install the Hyper-V also. So no extra feature I required, so I'll go next. This is the information about the Hyper-V. This is the, you have to note before you installing the Hyper-V, it is saying before you install the role, you should identify which network connection on this server you want to use for setting up virtual switches. And after you install the Hyper-V, you can use Hyper-V Manager to create and configure your virtual machine. Now it says that you have to identify the interface, because once we install this role, and if we select the interface to create the virtual switch, suppose we have one interface here, we have only one interface. As you can see here, only one interface we have. So if you select this interface to create the virtual switch for Hyper-V virtual machine, then what it will do, it will take over this physical interface, it will take all the properties from this virtual interface and create this physical interface, and it will create a new virtual switch, a virtual interface for the Hyper-V. So basically it will do what, it will take the properties of everything from this real physical adapter, and it will create a virtual adapter for Hyper-V virtual machines. So that is why it is warning us that you should remember and you should identify that which interface you want to select for your virtual machine network. Then it is saying that you can create the virtual machine and configure virtual machine by using the Hyper-V Manager. So it is going to install the Manager tool also for that, for managing our virtual machines. So I'll go next here, and here it is asking us to select the physical network adapter to create the network for virtual machine. Now for creating the network for the virtual machine, that means it will create a virtual switch for this virtual machines we install here. Now we can select it here, and also we can create this after installing also. So I will do it after installation so that I can show you that what are the other types of virtual switches we have, and what is exactly virtual switch, and why we need to connect it with the physical adapter. So this we will see after the installation, so I will not select anything here. I will select and I will use it after the installation. Then one more thing we can do is the virtual machine migration. Now here in server operating system, what we can do, we can migrate one virtual machine from one server to other server. That means if suppose we have two or more Hyper-V servers, Hyper-V host, and we create virtual machine one of the host, and then if suppose we want to move that virtual machine from one host to other host, then we can do that, and it is called virtual machine migration. Now why we do that? So sometimes suppose we have a real host, we have a host, and in that host we suppose install 2-3 virtual machines, and we are using those virtual machines. Now suppose we want to do some maintenance job on that server, and for that we have to shut down the server. For example, suppose we just want to increase the RAM capacity, so we just have to shut down the server. Now we want to shut down the server, but we can't shut down that virtual machine inside the server. So what we can do, we can migrate those virtual machine to other server, then we can shut down this server, work on that server whatever we want, and then we restart the server again, and then again migrate those virtual machine back to the original server. So we can do the migration, and for the migration it will do the migration in the secure environment, and for that it can use this, it will use a credential security support provider, or we can use the Kerberos authentication also. That means if we want to move one virtual machine from the other virtual machine, one Hyper-V virtual machine from other Hyper-V, so we can move it by authenticating that other machine by using this certificate credential security support provider, or we can use Kerberos also. Now first option requires the authentication of Kerberos. It can support the It is less secure than the Kerberos but does not require you to set up consider constraint delegation to perform a live migration. You must be logged onto the server, source server only. But the Kerberos is more secure than this one, and it will do the secure authentication it will provide, and then we can migrate the machine from one server to other server. Now right now if you want to do this, then you can select this to allow, or if you don't want, then we can select it after installation also. So we can select this after installation also when we require to do the migration. So if you are not doing migration, then you don't have to select it. So I will select it later. I will configure this later. Right now I don't need. Now this is where it is going to create the virtual machine hard disk and virtual machine configuration files. This is the path. By default it is going under the C drive, and if we want to change it, then we can browse and change different directories. So suppose if you want to change the virtual machine hard disk path, then we can change it from here. Like I just want to create this under the C drive, and under the C drive I will create new folder for VHDs. Or I will create a centralized folders for VMs, and under that folder I will create new folder for VHDs. So under the VMs it will be VHD for the virtual disk, and then under the VM I will create new folder for virtual machine configurations. So my hard disk of virtual machine will go to this directory, and the configuration files will go to this directory. So this is what we have selected. Now I will select restart if it is required, and it is going to restart because it is installing the Hyper-V here. So I will say OK and then install. Now it will take a little time and it will reboot also, and after reboot, when it is completed, then we are ready to create virtual machines. So this is how we selected the role and installed the role. It is already installing right now. Then we will see how we can configure the virtual machine and create the virtual machine. So it is still installing. Now how to configure the Hyper-V virtual machines. So after installing the role, we are ready to configure the virtual machines. Now what are the virtual machine configuration versions we have? Configuration versions allow compatibility for virtual machine between Windows Server 2012 R2 version 5 and Windows Server 2016, which is version 5 or 6. So in Windows Server 2012 it was version 5, and now in 16 it can support version 5 and also the new version of 6. Then virtual machine must be manually updated from version 5 to 6. Now updated means what? If suppose we have created the virtual machine under Server 2012, so it will be version 5. Now suppose when we move that virtual machine from Server 2012 to Server 2016, we migrated here. Now on Server 2016 we can have version 6. So if we want to upgrade the version, then we have to do it manually, and we can do it by using this command update VM version and then VM version, the virtual machine name. So we can do this from the PowerShell, and we can run the command update virtual machine version, VM version, and then we will mention the name of the virtual machine for upgrading it to version 6. Then when we create the virtual machine, we have generations. We have two generations, generation 1 and generation 2. Now generation 1 is to support the backward compatibility. Backward compatibility, that means the previous versions of Hyper-V, for example in Server 2008 and before. So we have this generation 1, so that if suppose we want to have a virtual machine which we can migrate, that means we can move from Server 2016 to Server 2012 to Server 2008. So on this case we have to select generation 1, because the generation 2 is not supported in previous versions of Windows. So if you select the generation 2 virtual machine, you cannot change it to generation 1. Remember, this thing is only one time selection. So once you created the virtual machine with generation 2, so you cannot change it to generation 1, and if you select to create generation 1, then you cannot change it to generation 2. So what is the new thing we have in generation 2? So generation 2 virtual machine provide this functionality, like it will provide the secure boot for the operating system. When operating system boot in the virtual machine, it will boot the securely, and boot from virtual hard disk that is connected to a virtual iSCSI controller. So it can also provide the support for booting the virtual machine from the iSCSI controller, that means iSCSI virtual disk. Then we can boot from a virtual DVD that is connected to a virtual SCSI controller also. Then PXE boot by using the standard Hyper-V network adapter. Then it can also support the network boot, that means we can install the operating system through the network server using the PXE boot. Then we can use the UEFI firmware support. So in generation 2, our virtual machine can give the support for UEFI firmware. So it can use a UEFI firmware for the generation 2 virtual machine. Now to create the virtual machine, very simple, from the Hyper-V manager, or we can create it from the PowerShell also. Now before creating the virtual machine, first we have to complete the installation of Hyper-V in our server. So let's see what is happening there. It is still installing. It will take a little time to install. We have to wait for it. It is now rebooted and it is completing the installation. So now it is rebooting. It has rebooted 2 times. So this is the second time it is rebooting, and now it is going to install, and it is complete. It is going to complete the installation. Okay, now I will log in, and after logging also, so you have to wait till it shows that the installation finish. It will come again, the server manager will come, and then that option is also come, that it will show that the installation is finishing or not, or completing. So it will show that the installation is successful. You just have to wait till it says that the installation is completed. Now see, it is coming again. And it is still showing this, and now it is completed. It is saying the installation is succeeded. That means we are now ready to go. Now after the installation completed, we can see the Hyper-V here. That means the Hyper-V role is available now. We have installed it. And to manage the Hyper-V virtual machine, we can manage it from the Hyper-V manager, and also we can manage it from the PowerShell. So PowerShell also have included the commands related to Hyper-V. It was not there previously. Now it has added the commands also, and also it has added the Hyper-V manager. So when you go to tools, now we can see the Hyper-V manager here. When you click to open this, so we can see this Hyper-V manager, and in that manager we can see our server is connected. Now from this Hyper-V manager we can manage other servers also. Other servers, that means if we have the other server which is installed with installed Hyper-V role, so we can connect that servers and we can manage the server from here. We can connect the servers from this option. We can use the another server name, we can browse the name, and also we can connect the local server. So right now it is connected local server. So when I click on the local server, I get the options of this local server. This is the servers option, this is the host option. There is no virtual machine is there. Now these options are there. Now before going for the virtual machine, now if you want to create the virtual machine, then we can create it from here, new, virtual machine, or we can right click on the server here and then we can go for new virtual machine. Also we can create the virtual hard disk, or we can create the virtual floppy disk also. So we can create the virtual hard disk from here also. We can do it from the disk management also. Disk management tool also we can create the virtual disk, and also we can manage, we can create the disk, then we can install the create the virtual machine, and then you can use this, and then or we can create the virtual machine with the disk also. So we can do that. Now before creating the virtual machine, we have to configure the switch network configuration. Like we have to configure the switch, we have to configure the network, so that when we create the virtual machine we can see the network setting will be there. So for managing the network or configuring the network for the virtual machine, we have this option here, virtual switch manager. Now virtual switch manager, we can manage or create the virtual switches. Now for configuring the networking on our virtual Hyper-V host server, so what we need here, first we have to know that what are the types of Hyper-V networks we have. So first we have these three type of network. We can use the virtual switch manager to create different types of virtual network. First external, then internal, then private. So we have these three type of network we can create, and also you can also configure VLANs. We can capture the data traveling through the switch, and also we can filter the data traveling through the switch. Okay, so what we have external, internal and private, and also we have the VLAN setting, VLAN configuration. We can also capture the data through the switch, and we can also assign the filter. We can filter the data traveling through the switch also. Now first, what is the virtual switch and why we need it, and what is this external, internal and private do, and also what is the VLANs. So this is our real host. This is our real host here. Now on the host we have created several virtual machines. These are virtual machines we have created. These are our guest operating system, guest machines. Now our real host has a network adapter here, network interface card, and through that network interface card it is connected to the switch, and through the switch it is connected to other real servers. Now these are our virtual machine. Now we want to connect multiple different devices together. So what we do, we use the switch here. We use here switch to connect these multiple servers together. Now this is the physical environment. Now under the virtual environment, if we want to connect these virtual machine together, so we use virtual switch. So we create the virtual switch here, and by creating the virtual switch, we can connect these virtual machines to these virtual switches. Now those machines which is connected to that particular switch, virtual switch, those two machines can do the communication to each other. Now these virtual machines are not connected to this switch, so they will not able to do the communication with these two machines. So we can create multiple virtual switches in our host, so that we can separate these virtual machines to the communication group. So these three machines under the different switch, these three machines are under the different switch. Now when we try to create this virtual switch, so we have that three options. First is external, then internal, then private. So we have external, that means the switch which we create, the virtual switch which we create as an external, so that switch will be connected to the physical adapter of the real host. That means external means it is connecting the physical adapter of the host, so it will use the physical adapter of the host. Now when it use the physical adapter of the host, then what these virtual machine can do, which is connected to that external switch, they can communicate to each other through the switch, virtual switch. Then also they can communicate to the other machines outside the virtual real host. That means these machine can send the data through the virtual external switch through the network adapter of the real machine, and from there it can go to the physical network and it can connect to these other machines. So these virtual machines can do the communication to the physical machines outside the physical host. They can go to the physical network if they are having the external switch. Now if they are having the internal switch, that means they can do the communication through within the virtual machines, that means they can do the communication to each other. Then also they can do the networking through the host, that means they can connect the network and use the network to connect the host itself. Now there is another switch type is private. Now private switch, and if we have any virtual machine connected to those private switches, now that means what? These virtual machine can only do the communication together and they cannot do the communication with any other virtual machine, and also they cannot do the communication to the host itself. Then also they cannot do communication to any other physical network. So they will remain completely private. Internal will be also as a private. They cannot also go out in the physical network, but they can still communicate with the physical host itself, but they cannot go outside of the physical host. But the external switch can go to the outside network. It can communicate with the external machines. Then we have the VLAN option also. Now what is VLAN? VLAN is actually configured on the physical switches. On the physical switches, when we have multiple ports, for example here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ports. So all these ports are connected together. They can do the communication together. They are considered into the single broadcast domain. Now to break this thing, what the network administrators do, they divide these multiple ports into separate segments, and that segments are called VLANs, virtual LAN. That means if suppose the administrator divide these two ports into one VLAN and give the VLAN ID 2 here. Now this two switches, it will convert it into other VLAN and give the VLAN ID 3. Then what happened? These machines which is connected to this VLAN, they cannot do the communication to the other VLAN machine. So they will become a different segments. It is like two switches within a single switch. So we can create multiple different VLANs. So within a single switch, it can act like a two different switches, where we can separate these two machines from the other two machines. Now for doing this, the switch do what? This physical switch do what? It tags all the data with the VLAN ID. Remember, it will tag the data with the VLAN ID. So when this machine send any data through this port, so the data will be tagged as a VLAN ID 2. So it will not go to this VLAN ID, this VLAN. It will only remain in the same VLAN because it is tagged with this VLAN ID. Now if suppose we are using the external switch for these virtual machines, now because they are having different VLAN IDs here, so we can put these virtual machines into different VLANs also. Now for that we have to configure the different VLAN switches also. Like suppose this external switch I configured for VLAN 3. Then what it will do, the VLAN tagging will be done by this switch, this virtual switch. So whatever the data, it will come from these virtual machines. So it will be tagged as a VLAN ID 3. So when it goes out to the real switch, so real switch knows that the data is for VLAN ID 3. It is not for VLAN ID 2. So these three machines will also be in the same VLAN, and these three machines can do the communication to these two machines, and they will not be able to do the communication to this VLAN 2 machines. So if suppose I want to put these machines into VLAN 2, like suppose I want to put this machine into VLAN ID 2, So I have to create one more external switch here with VLAN ID 2 and connect this virtual machine to that switch. Now whatever the data sent from this virtual machine, it will be tagged as VLAN ID 2, and when this data goes out to the real switch, so real switch knows that okay, this is for VLAN ID 2, so it will send the data to VLAN ID 2 and all the machines in the VLAN ID 2 will get the data. So that is the VLAN ID configuration. Other thing is that we can monitor the network, like whatever the data is sent through these virtual machines to each other or outside, because it is going through the host, so host can do the monitoring of the data, and also the host machine can do what? It can also filter the data. And for that it has to use a different tool, which is not a Hyper-V manager. You can't do this from the Hyper-V manager, you can do it from the other tools also. So this is what the network type we have: external, internal and private. And the VLAN configuration, this is we required when only we need to configure the VLAN for our virtual machines. Then it can capture the data through the switch, and also it can filter the data traveling through the switch. Now for configuring this network, we can do it from here in the Hyper-V manager. In the Hyper-V manager, we have the virtual machine, virtual network config, virtual switch configuration, virtual switch manager. So we have this virtual switch manager. From there we can manage, or we can create or configure these external, internal or private network or the private switches. So under this Hyper-V manager, what we can do, we can go to the virtual switch manager, and from there we can create and configure the for our virtual machine. So it opened this here. Now here we have to decide what we want. We want external, internal or private switch. So we can create it. Right now there is no switches there, virtual switch. So whatever you want you can create. So let's say suppose I want to create external. So I select external and I say create virtual switch. Now it is showing me this, that this is the provide the name for your virtual switch. So I can name it any. I will say this is my external one, this is my switch, and remember it is what? It is connected to your physical adapter. Now if you don't want to create external, so if you select internal, so you can see it is not connected to any physical adapter. That means your data will not go out. And even for the private also, and even for the private, now you don't have VLAN option also. Now if you select the external switch, so you have the VLAN option also, and here you can decide that which VLAN ID you want for this virtual switch. So you can configure the VLAN ID here, and this VLAN ID will be tagged all the data which is going through this switch. So it will be tagged as this VLAN ID which we configured here. Right now we are not having any VLAN, so I am not selecting it. I am creating the external switch which is connected to this physical adapter, and that is what we have, only one physical adapter. Now it is doing what? It is going to do what? It is going to take over the physical adapter and it will create the virtual adapter for it, and it will take over all the configuration from there. I'll say yes. That is why it is saying that it may lose the connection. If some machine is already connected, then it may lose the connection. Now it is there. Now what it has changed here, if you go to the real machine, if you check the adapter here, now you can see that this is our real physical adapter, and if you go to see the status of this detail, you can see there is no configuration details here. Why? Because it has been taken over by this virtual adapter V Ethernet, and that name is what? External 1, and all the settings are now here. All the settings are now here. It has been taken over. Now the configuration is there. Now we have already configured the network adapter. Now what we can do, we can create the virtual machine. So for that I will go here and select new virtual machine. It will open this wizard. It says before you begin, it says that click finish to create the machine with the default values. You can directly create, or you can click next to create the virtual machine with the custom configuration. So I will go next. Now what will be the name for your machine? So I will say this will be my VM1, and by default the configuration file is going on to this directory because we have already changed. Now we don't have to change it, otherwise we can change it from here. Then I will go next. Now here we have to select that which generation you want to create, generation 1, generation 2. So whatever the generation you want, you can select here. And remember, it is saying once your virtual machine has been created, you cannot change its generation. So once it is selected, you can't change it. In generation 1, it supports the 32 and 64-bit guest operating system and provide a virtual machine which has been available in all previous versions of Hyper-V. But this version is provides support for new virtualization features, and it also has a UEFI based firmware and requires a support for 64-bit guest operating system. It can only use a 64-bit operating system. So it depends on your requirement. You will go with the generation. I'm going with the 2. Then it is asking us to select the RAM. What is the RAM you want to give to this virtual machine? And even you can select the dynamic also. Dynamic means it will increase the requirement of the RAM when it is required. Like it will start from this 1 GB RAM, but when it is required, that will increase the RAM to capture more RAM from your real machine. We can manage that also after the creation. Now here it is asking us to select the network adapter or the virtual switch. So because we have already created, so we can select that virtual switch here. Then it is asking us to create the virtual disk. You want to create the virtual disk right now, or you have already created, you just want to use it now, or you will do it later, but you have to do it. So I am creating it right now. It is going to store into this location. We have already changed. We can select up to 64 TB size. Right now by default it is giving 127 GB, and the files extension is VHDX. This is the new format. If you go for the VHD only, that will give you a less size than this VHDX. So I'm going with this VHDX, and I'll go next here. I'm not changing any. Now it is saying install an operating system later, or you want to install the operating system from the bootable ISO image, or you want to install an operating system from the network based installation server. Now there is no option. It is showing me to install it from the CD DVD because it is not connected. So after creating the virtual machine, generation 2 virtual machine, you have to add the CD DVD also, so that you can add the DVD to install. Right now it can install from the network and ISO image. So I'll go with this. I will install operating system later. So this is what we have selected, and finish. Now this is my virtual machine. It is off, and now when I select the virtual machine, I can see the setting of this virtual machine here. Then this is my Hyper-V setting, and this is my virtual machine setting. Under the Hyper-V setting, we can have different settings like the location of our VHDs and virtual machine configuration. If we have a GPU graphical adapter, so it is also for selecting that. NUMA spanning to increase your processor power, and this is for the migration. Now migration option we have not selected when we are installing the system, installing the Hyper-V ROM. We can select it from here. We can select to migrate the storage also. We can add the enhanced key management policy. We can also do configure the replication. We can have also option have an option to manage the keyboard setting, like use a virtual keyboard for the virtual machine. The real keyboard will use as a virtual keyboard. Then mouse release, how it is going to release, control alt left arrow from the virtual machine. Enhanced session mode is enabled, is available, and it is for the resetting the all the settings. Now for the virtual machines, we have to go to the virtual machine settings here. Now here we have these options. We have the hardware, we can add new hardware, we can change the firmware, and then we can go for the security features that is available, secure boot and all shielded options. Then we have, it is loading, and we have the memory option. Okay, the secure boot is enabled, and because it is for the Windows machine, you can change it for the Linux also. Enable the trusted platform, TPM can also be enabled. We can enable the shielding also. Then in the memory we can see it is 1 GB we have given, but we also select the dynamic, which is starting from minimum 512, and it can go up to this size. It will always keep the buffer of 20%, and the weightage is equal. The processor is here, one processor, and this is the controller of the hard disk. And right now we have only one hard disk connected. We can see the hard disk, we can inspect the hard disk. Right now it is only 4 MB, but it can go up to 127 GB because it is dynamically expanding virtual hard disk. So it will take only the space when it is required. We can connect the new, we can edit this also. Then we have the network adapter, which is Ethernet 1, which is connected, and this is the other settings like the name of the machine, integration services, checkpoints. Checkpoints are enabled, we can take it. Smart paging option is there, where we can save the smart paging, automatically start what to do, automatically start if it was running, and automatic stop when it was shut down the physical host, so save the virtual machine state. Here we can set the startup order also. We can set the delay of starting the machine. So we can set the delay, like 4 machines are there, so we can set the delay like one machine start after 10 seconds, other machine will start after 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, or whatever. So we can set the order also. Now I want to install the machine. Now there is no hard disk DVD here. If you see, there is only hard disk option it is showing because it is generation 2. So I have to add the device here. So I will go to hardware here and add the SCSI controller here first. Now we have one SCSI controller here, one more. This one is connected to the hard disk. Now this one I will connect the DVD drive. Now under the DVD drive I can select it, the image file, or I can go for the none. Now specify the media to use for the disk virtual drive. So you can connect it to the real drive, or you can go for the virtual image. Now this is what the virtual disk here. Now what I will do here, now I want to install the operating system. So what I will do, I will add the image here. Now see, when I start this virtual machine, what happens? I will first start the virtual machine. Now the virtual machine is started. Now the virtual machine is started. We can see these new options here, like we can turn off, shut down, save the status, pause the machine, restart the machine. We can take the checkpoint. Now the machine is started. We can see the screenshot here, snapshot here. We can see here that it is running. It is using the 3749% of CPU RAM. This is the uptime. We can check the memory status here. We can check the networking status here, and if we configure the replication, then we can see the option here. Now we are not able to see the machine, so for that I have to connect it, and now we can see the machine here. And it is not running, it is running, it is connecting. Okay, it is connected here, but it has not started the installation because it has not detected any image, any installation image. So we have to provide the ISO file for installing this. So I will provide the ISO file for it, and then we can start the installation. Now here I have these images, so I will select these images. So I will go to this virtual machine setting. Now when we start and connect it, so we can see the settings here also. So I will go to media DVD drive, insert the disk, and I will go on to select that. And I'm going to select this server 2016 itself, and then I will press all control delete to restart. Okay, it has failed to detect. Let me select again. Now I will select this again, insert the disk again. This time it is under this drive, and okay, now I will reboot again. Now it has detected the DVD, and it says press any key to boot from DVD, and I have pressed the enter key, and now it is starting the installation. Now the installation is there, so you just have to install the virtual machine, and then you can use the virtual machine. Installation like you have installed in the real system, you will go with this installation process like we do install the real system. Select the edition. I am going for the graphical. License agreement. Next. Custom for the fresh installation. Creating the partitions if you required, or going next. Now it is going to install, and when it is finished the installation, then it will be available for us. So this is how we do what we create the virtual machine, install the Hyper-V. First we install the Hyper-V before checking the requirements, prerequisites. Then what we do, we configure the virtual switches, and then we created the virtual machine, and then we started the installation for the virtual machine, and now after the installation it will be available for us.